Oh, hello. I think the microphone is now working. Hey traders, how we doing? Any trader who is joining us at the moment, I apologize. For some reason we had such a bad internet connection, so I couldn't start this live stream properly. Really sorry, guys. But we're now here. We're finally here. For any of you returning to the live stream, while I do run a technical analysis during the London trading session, a lot of you guys may know that I am a supply and demand trader. I like to play around with a little bit of the pullbacks, and so I usually just run technical analysis using supply and demand trading. I was away for about 2.5 weeks, so finally back and trying to play catch up with the charts. It's can be quite frustrating. Um, Anyway, we're already 15 minutes into the London trading session. Any of you who are, I guess, orb traders or scalpers would likely have already entered and exited the market. I apologize for not doing a preliminary technical analysis before the market started. However, we can quite clearly see we're in a downtrend. We're looking for shorts, shorting opportunities at the moment. Right now on the GBP USD, we are looking for those shorting opportunities at the moment. As you can see, we're just producing substantially lower lows and lower highs. Based on this, though, so if we drop out to the week, what a lot of you might be concerned about is, yeah, fine, there's a lot of information there. You guys probably won't be able to read it because I can't read it when I zoom out so much. Um, what we're likely concerned about is this weekly demand zone, because we can quite clearly see price came up, and when the price then re-entered into this weekly demand zone. So guys, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago we re-entered this demand zone and we finally saw a reaction and it pushed itself up, and now we're beginning to fall back toward this weekly demand zone because we've now failed. So we are in a downtrend even on the weekly technically, because we are producing lower highs right here, lower highs. So we're trending down. We're looking for those shorting opportunities. Now we know that there is likely going to be a bit of a reaction when we return to this demand zone. So we're looking for those shorting opportunities throughout this week into today. What I had put out here, so one of my preliminary analysis was based on yesterday's daily market breakdown. I was quite concerned that we are pushing down quite aggressively, yes. And what I had expected to happen was price to come back up into this 1 hourly area of supply before then pushing down even more aggressively. Right now, what's very frustrating is we're in a horrible amount of consolidation here. And any of you know the consolidation is probably not the best time to trade. And this being on the 4 hourly, what we might end up seeing is another little push up, taking out whatever liquidity was resting there before pushing down again, and vice versa. We may see a little push down, grabbing whatever liquidity is there before pushing maybe back up to that supply zone, right? Okay, so I'll be very cautious on that. On the lower time frames, yeah, we can already quite clearly see that the price came up, it swept whatever liquidity was there, but it failed to break that low, which is really concerning. Okay, so right now it's kind of wait and see at the point in time on GBP USD, and we'll continue to monitor it. And this is where I found that little supply zone. That's why I measured it there, and it's also the weekly open. Price likes to retrace back to these weekly, monthly, daily open. So we're just waiting on that, and we'll see how GBP plays out today. Heading over to Euro US dollar, because I'm playing with a trade here at the moment. I entered this earlier today. Honestly, maybe I shouldn't have entered without this confirmation, because what we actually need to wait for, or at least I entered into the shorting opportunity just because I think it was on the lower frames, or let me zoom back out to the 4 hourly frame. I had already seen, Yeah, it's the hourly frame. I'd already seen that when the price retraced back into this area, we started to push down and it already grabbed that liquidity here. And so I thought we were going to just see a continuation into the down with a slight pullback to here and then a continuation down. So that's why I entered into that position. But what I should have done, and what I would, if I see this, I'm going to add to this position, is that the price is now retraced back up. It hopefully will fail to break that high, and it will then come back down. Maybe it will actually just consolidate a little bit, and hopefully it then breaks this previous low here or this low here. And what this then forms is a beautiful market structure shift into the downside, and we are then likely going to see the price continue falling. I might actually extend this, but we'll likely see the price certainly coming down to this previous low, but I think we'll likely see a really large continuation all the way down. I think this is a weekly demand zone or a monthly demand zone over here. We've been waiting for the price to just fall. It's a weekly verified demand zone. Yeah. So, and then we'll likely see the price just continue falling into this weekly verified demand zone. Okay. So that is my play, and that's why I entered into that position. But to be honest, guys, oh, I guess I can't control Z. Hold on. Here we go. Let me just remove some of these yellow markings. Let me just remove this. Here we go. Just so it's a little bit more clear. So yeah, in all honesty, I really should have waited for this to be broken with a full body candle break, and then that is beautiful confirmation that okay, the price is in fact going to continue into the downside. Okay, so that's usually how I would. That would just be my A star setup for shorting. Well, for entering into a position. So at the moment during the London session, we can quite clearly see that there is quite an aggressive move upward. I would be very frustrated if it just continued to go up, stops me out, and then we see that price action candle and it just continually falls back into the downside, incidentally playing out. So anyway, regardless, we're looking for those shorting opportunities on the euro dollar. Let me zoom back out again to the 4-hour frame. We can quite clearly see that we are producing lower highs and lower lows into the downside. And so we are looking for those shorting opportunities. And so I've entered into that position. Okay, let's take a look at USD JPY. I've not really done that much of an analysis on USD JPY. However, on my daily market breakdown from yesterday, what I had put down is that we're likely going to see a continuation into the upside, so a continued devaluation of the Japanese yen, and quite rightly so. They are in quite a substantial amount of economic turmoil, I guess, with their currency. So what I put out here is that we are likely going to see a pullback, and where that pullback initially would end up going toward is this as my first. This will be my first area that I'm going to be looking at for that potential pullback into the upside and enter into position from there. Or what we could see happening is that it will come all the way down to this 4-hourly demand zone here. And then I would wait for a reaction before entering into a position from there. So we can already see on the hourly frames that a little bit of liquidity was taken here. There's a beautiful price action candle that is forming, and this is a good indication that okay, we might now see that continuation into the upside. And hopefully we do, because if we see that continuation into the upside, then all of our other major currency pairs are likely going to go into the downside, right? As we have been anticipating for GBP USD and the euro dollar. So it could be an interesting, maybe we can even drop down even further into the 15-minutely frame. We are seeing a little bit of a break of structure here. What broke that structure is something down here. So what I would likely want to see is something like this, a retracement back down. And I wouldn't be so upset in taking a potential position from this area. Let's see whether or not it plays out a little bit later. We can come back to it in just a bit. Let me just check AUD NZD because I had entered into a position today on AUD NZD. I don't want to be on the 15-minute frames. Yeah, so I entered into a shorting opportunity here, mainly just because we have seen that the price came back up on the I'm on the hourly, but on the 4-hourly, it came back up to this very key supply area. There was a very sharp reaction to it. And then since then it just failed. And so I just entered into that position because we've got these beautiful breaks of structures down here. And now it's just absolutely fallen off a cliff. So I entered that earlier today, and I must admit, I still need to do a little bit of research as to why this big candle had formed. I didn't look into it. Let's see if there was any economic information or data that came out. Which, by the way, guys, it's a huge, huge week for economic information, economic data. Look at all the GDP, Q over Q, interest rates, all coming out this week. Gosh, there's so many. And we'll go into that in just a moment. Let me just remove this for a minute. And what time was that? That was around what? Wednesday today, around about 2 a.m. Anything from the New Zealand side, perhaps? It's okay. I'll go and take a look into it a little bit later. But it feels like an economic data candle. Oh, here we go. Oh, yes. Okay, so yeah, Australia. So all of this came out, which formed this candle. So I was only looking at the most major news. Inflation rate is not that good. It's a little bit lower. This is AUD NZD. Okay. Actual came out at 0.2% basis points lower. So that could indicate a reduction in interest rates, which is why the AUD somewhat devalued a little bit. Inflation rate again is lower, right? So we want high inflation. Higher the inflation, the more value the currency will become. So that's what caused it there. That's what caused the huge push into the downside. CPI 102.03. Yeah, that's what that candle was then. I wasn't paying attention because I have this toggled on so that I'm only looking at the most important news or macroeconomic announcements coming out, and quite clearly, AUD or Australian inflation rates are not part of that. So that's something that I certainly need to remember in the future. But that's what that was there. So it was a news candle. Anyway, yeah, that looks like it may play out. I honestly don't understand why the connection keeps dropping. Okay, here we are. We're back again. Sorry, guys. Honestly, the connection seems to be very unstable. Yeah, we'll definitely look into figuring out why the connection keeps dropping among these live streams. However, on the DXY, yeah. So yesterday on the daily market breakdown, I anticipated that we'll likely see a pullback roughly around toward the hourly demand zone before then a continuation into the upside toward the 101.806 target. So we seem to be seeing that, which is pretty good. What we're likely going to want to wait and see is something such as this, where we come up and we likely see a little bit more of a pullback from here, and then we'll surpass it, and then we'll continue into the upside. So it's going to be a bit of a slow burn, but that is what I'm anticipating to see. And so, yeah, if you're looking for those long positions on the lower time frames on the DXY, then okay, yeah, I'd understand it. I wouldn't be so afraid of entering into position from that. But then you're likely going to see a pullback without breaking this low, and then a continuation up higher. Okay, so that's my general analysis on the DXY and where we might end up seeing it going. Okay, what we can do is head over to the BTC USDT. Wonderful. Once again, from the daily market breakdown from yesterday, I was waiting for one of these levels to show a nice sweep of liquidity, and we can quite clearly see that sweep in liquidity. We can then see a beautiful breaker structure here. We can see a pullback to this area, which is in line here. And we're now seeing another break right here. So what I'd wait for is a potential pullback to roughly around this area. And then I would enter into a long position targeting those previous highs over here. Oh gosh, maybe a 1-to-3 risk to reward ratio from that. That is what I would wait for. So let me put an alarm here, and I will wait for price on BTC to fall back to this area before entering into a position. But that's good. That's exactly the play that we're waiting for, and hopefully we will now see a lovely continuation or reversal back into the upside. What I had done is place this as a potential area of liquidity, so you can even put your stop loss, your take profit up to this point here as well. So looking for those long positions on BTC USDT at the moment as well. Let's have over to gold. What I was expecting yesterday was gold to push up a little bit higher. So I wanted to see an original push into the upside, more toward this region here. And the reason why is because there was a beautiful breaker structure here, and it was a very strong, impulsive push into the downside. So what I was hoping for was that pullback to this area or to the zone before a continuation into the downside. Let's just look at the volume profile at the moment. Yeah, because there was quite a lot of volume happening around this area as well. So if we do end up going up, pushing up, because there's no volume in this area. You see, there's no volume here. The volume's up here. So what I'm expecting is that we'll probably just hit the tip and then push down aggressively. Okay, so that was my general analysis yesterday, and obviously I didn't enter into position because it didn't play out. Maybe we're seeing the early signs of that playing out now. Maybe we're seeing that push, that pull back to this area before continuation into the downside. But we are trending down on gold. You know, you've got this lower high here, lower high, all these lower lows. We've got this beautiful descending wedge, which, okay, comes back up to grab liquidity and continue into the downside. So I am looking for those shorting opportunities on XAUUSD. That's mainly it. So that's everything that I'm looking at. I have not done the Swiss franc, the USD and the Swiss franc. I really should. Yeah, I know. I was doing a really nice little analysis with it previously. I will incorporate that again in the future. It just takes a little bit of time to do this technical analysis on so many different currency pairs. But I will take a look at USD, Swiss franc sometime, hopefully this week, and I'll apply some technical analysis and supply and demand stuff there. Obviously, we're in an uptrend on the Swiss franc, which is really good, and that plays very nicely into the USD JPY and every other currency pair, major currency pair we have. So I'm assuming with USD CAD, that should be in the up as well, but I don't analyze, I don't trade it. We are seeing a kind of a nice push up, but wow. Oh, I guess that a substantial amount of trade problems between the US and Canada is causing this huge push into the downside. But I won't go into that because I rarely trade USD CAD. but perhaps I'll come back to it in the future. What we can do is look at SpaceX, and any of you guys who are shorting SpaceX, congratulations, well done. It is struggling quite aggressively. I mean, the first earnings report is going to be coming out next month. Next month on, sooner, next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, the first earnings report is going to be coming out on SpaceX, and it's likely not going to look very good for SpaceX, and we'll likely see a continuation moving into the downside. And because SpaceX is such a massive stock by market capitalization, and when it's falling, like we're seeing now, it will have an effect on the NASDAQ as well. So I guess S&P is pretty happy that they didn't incorporate SpaceX into its index, and NASDAQ 100 is kind of suffering because of that as well. So we are likely going to see a continuation into the downside on the NASDAQ 100 as the SpaceX earnings report comes out next Tuesday, and we're expecting it not to be so good because you can't really justify that revenue for that market cap. It's just crazy. Okay, so we're now seeing we're seeing that reaction on USD JPY pushing up. I would want it to come back first before that continuation into the upside. If it does, that'll be good, and I may even enter into a position myself on the USD JPY. It's a tough one, really. I mean, I don't think it would break lower than this. I mean, I wouldn't be so upset by a trade that targets these previous highs up here. And then again, it's only a 1 to 1.5 risk to reward ratio. I can't trust that. No, I'd leave that. I'd leave that for now. All right, we can head back to GBP USD for now. Okay, there's quite a nice push up on USD, GBP USD, the GU. We don't want that. We certainly want this to have a continuation into the downside because we're kind of like consolidating here. So what might happen is just a big sweep happening from here before pushing down. It might just need to push up a little bit more before then aggressively moving into the downside. What I also don't like is that this is now moving so aggressively upward. Why? Oh dear. Really need to see this fail and fall into the downside. Hopefully. Hopefully we see this move a little bit more aggressively downward. Gosh, I'm so tired today. So we're now about 41 minutes into the London session. Yeah, hopefully it's gonna get rejected here. You know, because I'm on the 15-minute frame, what might be happening is that the price is just coming back up into the zone. Hopefully gets rejected within the zone. It comes down and it just breaks this market structure. And if it does, that would have been a very strong bit of confirmation for me to then enter into the position that I'm already in. But if it does, so if it does come up and it does get rejected from this level and it breaks that market structure, it just gives me that extra level of confidence that this trade is going to play out. Let's have a look at AUD NZD. Oh, It's also having a little bit of an issue here. I don't know why I'm not allowed to see the community anymore. I used to be able to see what people were writing in the community on TradingView. I'm not sure why that has been stopped. Used to have something called Minds here, but it's been removed for some reason. Oh, something called Social Community. Oh, that's just General Community, isn't it? No notifications, even though it says there's 21 there. GBP, JPY, okay, interesting. Minor pair. BTC USD, hourly, people think it's gonna now just continue going down. That's 19 hours ago. AUD JPY, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Oh, it's all just this single person writing it out. Oh, okay. Come on, euro dollar. We want you to fall. Fall. Why that happens. Let me just move this out of the way. Don't know where the entry was earlier. Somewhere around here. But yeah, hopefully we'll see that rejection happening on the euro dollar. And then that massive push into the downside. How's crude oil doing these days? Because, oh my days, look at this. Wow. And then market open. Boom. What day was this? 28th of yesterday. I mean, wow. That's a massive jump. And, oh, wow. Look at that jump. Oh, Friday and this was Sunday. Right. Huge drop. Huge, huge drop. Gosh, anyone who had orders in there. Oof. I feel bad for you. Certainly looks like the markets are considering that oil prices are overinflated and perhaps the conflict is showing signs of dying down a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm not trading oil at all these days. Oh, that's nice. So we're seeing a really nice push on XAU. So we could end up seeing that original plan where it finally pulls back toward this region or just before this region, but ultimately we should be seeing gold pushing into the downside. Euro's coming down, so hopefully it's now getting rejected, which is exactly what we want. AUD NZD is at 0.34% movement. That is almost at TP. Almost at TP today. But I'm assuming we're not going to see this one TP on today's live stream because I usually wrap this up within the hour and would likely see this one playing out within the next 2 or 3 hours, I would imagine. But what I'll do is actually we'll head back to the euro dollar. And oh no, it's pushing back up. Let me remove this. Yeah, let me just remove that supply zone from there. Just purely looking at price action. What do we have? We have the Fed interest rate decision coming out at 7 p.m. this evening. And so it doesn't seem as though they're going to alter the interest rates, which is good. Because, oh gosh, if they decrease interest rates, which is what Trump wants, although that there is a stronger than expected US market, we're going to see a massive reversal into the upside. Massive reversal. And I will likely then get stopped out. So hopefully we'll just see it remain at 3.75%. And then sometime throughout this week on Thursdays, we're going to get the GDP growth rate quarter over quarter, the preliminary for the EU, which obviously for the euro, the euro dollar is expected to be better than previous by about 0.3%, and the year over year is expected to be 0.1% lower than the previous year. So growth, there is growth there happening within the European Union, but not a substantial amount of growth to warrant some massive moves, unless we see a huge surprise. This is just flash GDP growth year over year. It's just very, very early stuff. ADV, very early data here. So hopefully there won't be any huge surprises. Inflation rate again, may increase, and I wouldn't be surprised if it increased. And if we do see the inflation rate data coming out, then yeah, okay, we're going to see quite a large reaction on the euro dollar, which I'm hoping we don't see. I'm hoping the DXY will save us. Yep, we're hoping to see the DXY now pushing into the upside. I can remove this from now because this was the estimated pullback before then continuing into an upward trend. What we could end up seeing at the moment is hopefully this is the zone where it's going to be rejected, so it shouldn't fall any further than this. This is what I'm hoping for. And then we'll likely see a really nice breaker structure here, and that would be a really nice bit of confirmation to enter into that long position on the DXY. So we're just waiting for that to play out at the moment. AUD/NZD, let's see. Again, we're likely not going to see this trade TP today. Well, maybe later today we'll see a TP, but not on this live stream. So I'm in that shorting opportunity at the moment. Quite a lot of the economic data that came out of Australia was worse than expected, which is good. That means good for NZD. So that means it devalues the Australian dollar slightly against the New Zealand dollar. So hopefully this will TP sometime later today. USD JPY, we're just waiting for that pullback or that continuation into the upside. It looks like it wants to continue, but I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. I was hoping that the price would come back down to around this area, this region, this zone, and then continue pushing up, and then I would have entered into that position. But if it just wants to continue moving up, then okay, well, fair play. We'll end up looking at another bit of another trade a little bit later. But the point is that from the daily market breakdown, we did expect the price was going to have a reaction at this price point. If it wasn't, it was going to have a reaction around here. So it looks like we're seeing the initial signs of that reaction. British pound, it's all in consolidation. It's a consolidating market at the moment. Very frustrating one as well. Just look at that. No clear trend is being formed from this consolidation. I'm assuming everyone trading this pair is just waiting for this economic data to come out later today, later this week, especially with the Bank of England interest rate decision is likely going to remain at 3.75%. So they just want to see what reaction they're going to have when that information, that data comes out. Euro dollar is pushing up. Look at that. Wow. Well done, euro dollar. Yep, so hopefully it won't breach this point. If it does breach this point, okay, then fine. Likely going to get stopped out of here later today, and potentially see that continuation up to around this area here, because this is one of the months open, and price loves retracing back to the months open, and then I would likely then look for another shorting opportunity. Remember, the euro dollar is in a downtrend at the moment, so we are looking for those shorting opportunities at this point in time. I may have just entered a little bit too early here. However, let me just drop back out to the hour. What would give me that extra level of confidence is if we see the price breaking below this previous low, then I'll probably add to my position, because that is just a beautiful, beautiful market shift in direction, because we come down here, comes back up, and it continues to break. And that pattern is one of my signs of confirmation for entering into large swing trades into either direction. So hopefully that holds, hopefully that gets rejected here and continues moving downward. BTC, so many people are saying that you should be shorting BTC. I don't think so. I think what we're seeing are those initial signs of BTC entering into that reversal. Based on the price coming down to this weekly demand zone, we're now seeing that reaction. And in all honesty, guys, and I keep on saying this, I would not be surprised if we see price retracing toward the 80,000 mark by sometime at the end of this year. So I'm hoping that the price will eventually retrace back toward the $80,000 mark sometime this year. And we could be seeing the early signs of that reversal into the upside at this point in time now. So I'll be looking for those long positions. Also on the 4-hourly, we're producing higher highs and higher lows. So trend is pushing up again. What I was waiting for previously was the price to come down to grab liquidity resting below this low, and below these lows here. And we can quite clearly see that the price was happy with the liquidity that was resting below this low. And we're seeing a really nice sharp reaction. So I think it does need to come back down a little bit, and then I will enter into that long position if I were trading BTC USDT. But usually I'm not a BTC USDT trader. So back to euro, it should be getting rejected a little bit more now. Yes, it is. We are right on the edge of getting stopped out. So frustrating, but it's okay. This happens. I mean, if you've not said out loud that you're angry with trading, or you want to quit trading, then are you actually a trader? It's a really horrible experience on the mind. You know, you got to really control your emotions, and when you see yourself getting stopped out, there's nothing you can do. It sucks. You just have to find your own release mechanism to get past it and enter into another trade. Once you've calmed down and you've run your analysis correctly. You know, a few months ago, I had a massive losing streak, basically about 10 to 12 trades in a row, all got stopped out. Blew my accounts. Very, very frustrating time. So, it's okay. Just trust your process, and over time, it should come to fruition, you know. So hopefully this is going to continue into the downside. I really am hoping that this economic data, there's no big surprises. If there are no big surprises with the economic data coming out this week, then we should be in a pretty nice area to see the continuation on the euro or across our major currency pairs to continue into the downside and entering into those short positions. So GBP, this should be pushing down. It's getting rejected now. Remember, guys, I'm on the 4-hour frame, so we're seeing a little bit of a rejection. I always hate consolidating markets. I hate these. Hate consolidation. Consolidation is the worst for me to trade. I absolutely hate these long wicked candles. Ugh, horrible, horrible market to trade. I guess there's a lot of uncertainty at the moment on the British pound, especially with the new Prime Minister coming in. So I understand why quite a lot of traders, there's no very clear trend direction over the last, couple of days. Yes, we are trending down and we are looking for those shorting opportunities. I think what people are waiting for is to see if there are any surprises with the Prime Minister's cabinet and their initial. I guess he needs to be bringing out a manifesto or an economic plan. I don't know. I think a lot of people are just waiting on that at the moment. And I would assume that that information will be coming out after they announce the Bank of England interest rate decisions. So after the 30th, which is after tomorrow, so Friday, I think it's going to be a pretty wild market, especially for GBP USD. Gold should be pushing up now toward that area. It is slowly getting there. Again, I'm on the 4-hour frame, so we won't see this for at least another 2 days. And once it does retrace back to this area, let me just set an alarm here. Once it does retrace this area, I will then be looking for a shorting position because we're trending down on XAUUSD. So I think it's going to pull back to roughly around this area. So if you're in a short-term long position, I totally understand, completely agree with you, support it. I think it's going to come back to around here, and then we're going to see some reactions around this area here, which should indicate that we are going to be pushing into the downside. That's right, reject more. 18 seconds until the next hour candle comes out on the euro. Let's have a look and see what that candle is. Quite clearly we can see that it failed to produce a new higher high, which is a good sign. And let's see what that next candle is. It's now 9 a.m. in the UK. So we might see a little bit more liquidity coming into the market. Oh, not really. I thought we'd see a little bit of a sharp move on the hour, but I guess not. Oh gosh, look at those rejection candles on the 15-minute frame. Yeah, looking pretty good there. Hopefully, as I said, it just rejects here and it will just continue trickling back down, breaking market structure at this point. If it does break market structure from here with a full body candle break, that is one of my confirmations for entering into a short position. Although I'm already in one, yes, but I should have waited for this extra added layer of confirmation. But I was a little bit impatient today, entered into that trade. AUD NZD, let's see, did we TP yet? Nope, not yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there very slowly but surely. Hopefully we'll see this TP by the end of the day. Just need one sharp move and we should be pretty good to go. I'm a little bit afraid that we've seen that reaction. Actually, I'm not that afraid because we've seen that the price of AUD NZD came down. There was a reaction, but ultimately there is a lot of pressure pushing it down even more. So we've not seen it come back up and show it wanting to create new higher highs. I think it will just continue down into TP. So I'm not too concerned about that one at this moment. USD JPY, no, it's not come back to our area of entry. It just wants to play off that reaction, that beautiful price action candle. Maybe we're going to see that continuation into the upside after all. Might have missed out on that opportunity. Yeah, as we expected, price to come back down to this hourly demand zone. Fine, it closed, but it didn't close full body break below here. That's a nice indication that we could see the DXY now pushing up even more. BTC, we've already gone through that, just waiting for price to return to this area, and then I'll actually enter into a position, and I set an alarm there, waiting for that to occur. Same thing with gold, USD. I'll be looking for those shorting opportunities. I've set an alarm for if the price enters into this area over here, and I'll probably enter into a position from then on. GBP I'm not touching because it's very fragile at the moment because of the economic uncertainty or the political uncertainty that is happening within the UK. Euro, yeah, hopefully there's no surprises this week, and if there's no surprises, it's going to continue moving into the downside. Hopefully we'll see. But there it is, traders. Really, I mean that's the hour. I do apologize that the internet or the connection wasn't very good for the first 15 minutes of this live stream. I will work on that and make sure it doesn't happen again in the future. But that's mostly it. And you know, as you guys know, what we're trying to do is put out as much educational content as possible. Although sometimes all traders' technical analysis are usually going to have flaws in them once in a while. So, of course, even myself gets it wrong quite often. And so when we put out when I do the daily market breakdowns, when I do these live streaming sessions, it really is just for the education behind it, instead of the actual trading. But I certainly hope it helps, and I hope it helps you build upon your skills as a trader to become a more professional and better trader in the future. Anyway, guys, I mean, of course, I would love to stay on and just continue this live stream with you guys indefinitely all the way into the New York session, but unfortunately, I'm unable to. But we will look to try and expand on the live trading sessions into the future. Anyway, traders, there it is. As I said, I really hope this has helped you guys. Or just saw a drop on AUDNZD, so maybe it just TP. I don't think it TP'd. It didn't. But yeah, the drop's there, and we're seeing that move at the moment. I'll drop down to a really low frame here. So close to TP. Oh man. Oh no. But yeah, anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed that live streaming session. I hope you gained a little bit more knowledge on how I do technical analysis across the Forex, across the trading pairs that we have. So thank you again, and I hope you will join me for next week's live trading session. I look forward to seeing you all next week.